Hello there, and welcome to my first proposal video for my main project idea, FrightBeat. Oh, there we go. So it's a single player chase horror. So chase horror, I couldn't find an actual name for the subgenre, so I'm going to name it myself. Chase horror is a sort of reverse Pac-Man style game where you have to complete an objective while an enemy is pursuing you. These, in the horror aspect of it is more about dark environments or the enemy being quite frightening and you having to less fight it and more evade it. So, what makes my game or this project in particular unique is that I would like to implement Ant Plus technology. Ant Plus is a fitness brand which does a lot of vitals reading. I would like to use one of their fitness bands, connect it to a computer, and use that to read the player's heart rate, which would then be used by the enemy AI to, speed up when the player has a higher heart rate, or maybe the area which they know the player is in grows smaller the more the player gets scared. Anyway, so as you can see on the left here, just like a lot of these chase genre games, is very replayable. A single game could really take about 10 minutes if the player knows what they're doing, but it could also stretch to about 20 minutes if the player doesn't know what they're doing for their first time. It is extremely replayable. Players can get in and get out very quickly. And by get out, I mean die. So the unique selling points of this game, of course, the main one is the use of fitness band technology. It's not the first horror game to use this. In my research, I found a game called Bring to Light, which has used this exact same technology, but for a different genre of horror. They went for more of a survival horror, while I will be going for the subgenre chase horror. They used it more to influence the environment, while I will be using it to influence an actual entity in the game. And as for, as I stated previously, the replayability of the replayability is a really big staple of chase horror. And, because you want to just be going, you want to keep going again and again. You want to keep facing this threat until you eventually beat it. What I want to implement in my game is some form of a arcade mode or a point system that once the player has beaten the standard mode, they will be able to go back and actually treat it as a challenge to get so many points, defeat the enemy while they're this fast, something of the sort in this arcade style mode. Right, moving on. I have my Moscow analysis. Now, the main part of this project is gameplay design. It is making this one mechanic work as well as it can. And that is why the must-have for my Moscow is focused on just the bare bones in terms of the game, but having a detailed mechanic, creating a tool which connects to Ant Plus and creating an enemy AI which works based on the data is the first things on there. While having a simple maze-like game and having a standard game chase mode, those are still there because you obviously need the game, but to develop on those are in the should have and could have because, it's less about the game and more about developing this mechanic. But the game is a part of it, which is why the end of the must-have has designed the game to be sufficiently scary. This is not only because I want to achieve it as a horror game in the horror genre and meet the conventions of chase horror, but also because it's needed to raise the player's heart rate. I can't just have them running around to artificially raise it. Now, in the should have, we've got animating and modeling the monster, creating this arcade mode, which I have said previously, and importantly, and what is quite unique should have, I'm going to record a opening sequence to calm the player down at the start so I can accurately read their resting heart rate. This will be the basis which all calculations are built from. If you know their resting heart rate and you know stuff such as, how different sizes and how different people's heart rate, get tiny bits of information and use those to calculate, okay, here's the range that their heart rate should be, which will affect the speed, affect the area, whatever I decide to do with that. And of course, we have the trailer and gameplay video there as well. In Could Have, we have the standard polish areas, recording original sound effects, creating the point system, and adding to the map and adding to the enemy model. That way, to make it a more polished game. Right, moving on, we have a project timeline. Now, this is, this is a plan. This may not stretch out exactly like it is right now. This is the very start of the project, so I can't be fully sure. This is what I would expect the project to move like. We have week 1 and week 2, which is the research. This is getting, compiling all the research I've done into chase horror games and other survival horror games on how they are able to use horror, generate the player, make them scared. But also, how they make it fun and engaging and want the player to keep going again and again. Week 2 is for Ant Plus research. This will probably be the week where I order the fitness band. I will have to actually see if I can get a grant from the university, just so I don't have to spend my own money. That'd be lovely. But this will be where I see, okay, how do I use C++ to connect an external device using Ant Plus systems with Unreal. And from week 3 onwards, I'll be developing this tool. Week 1 to week 3, by the way, will be where I create the game design document as well. Missed out on that a little bit, but I plan to have it done by week 3. That way we can just go full steam ahead for the rest of the project. From week 3 to week 6, that'll be where I'm developing this tool, where I'm, making it function, making it work. I'll also start making a simple enemy AI in that meantime. These, just because, they are created by week 6 doesn't mean I can't improve them later on. From about week 7, week 8, that's where I want the game mode to be finished as well. So by week 8, I have some sort of working experience. You can run around in a simple maze, be chased by this guy, the heart rate mechanic works, you can escape. Win-win. From week 9, that's when the polish will start. So I'll start modeling the enemy in the map from week 9, going on to about week 11. Week 10, week 11 is when I will start work on the arcade game mode, because that is just an additional built on top of the standard game mode with like some extras like points and maybe a couple items scattered throughout the map. And then from about week 13 is just the additional, the UI, the sound effects, the trailers, which I will have to record. And importantly, that's when I'll really be focusing on QA testing and making the mechanic as polished as it absolutely can be. With week 15 and 16 being there for contingency, so if anything isn't finished by that time, I will have those 2 weeks to have them finished. And also making sure I have all the writing and paperwork and the diary sorted, ready for when I submit all the work on the end of week 16. Yeah, that's everything I have to say about this project, this proposal for now. Thank you very much for listening.